welcome really worldwide to the Miami Real Estate Symposium and Expo 2015, live from Miami, Florida. And what we're doing here is really an interesting panel, the politics of real estate. And with us today, we have amazing guests with beautiful stories, and really it's all about community, it's all about giving back, but also different ways have they served these communities that they represent. So with us today is the Honorable Mayor of the City of North Miami Beach, George Vallejo. So he's with us. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
Also with us is the amazing friend, but she came all the way down from Chicago to Miami, find a little sun and there's a little rain, but we're having a great time because you light up this room. It's Nelly Vasquez Rowland. She runs a Safe Haven Foundation. She'll tell you about what she does. So we also talk about sustainability. We said we live in a coastal town, and that's Miami Beach. And Miami Beach, if we don't take care of what's happening, what's going on, we might not have Miami Beach. And he'll tell us a little bit, is it true, fact, fiction? And we'll go over that. But also, you also have to have the advocacy. You know, I don't believe anymore in Republicans or Democrats or independents. I believe in something called interest. So Jesse Feldman out of really San Francisco, so he's traveled also, and he's represented many cities around the Bay Area and worldwide, because we talked about a little bit of stuff you've done worldwide with the companies you represent, and how does the yin and yang work with the private public, which has been a buzzword here, public-private partnerships. So with that, I want to start with ladies. So Nelly, why don't you tell the World Wide Web and our streaming, and thanks to DisruptCRE for providing this service, and obviously Jones Lang LaSalle, who is taking care of this stuff. So basically, what, when, and where. Tell us your name, rank, and serial number, and give us a little opening statement.
Okay, well, first of all, Evelio, I want to thank you so much for having me. Let me tell you, you didn't have to twist my arm to come from Chicago to North Miami. Love it, love it, love it, love the people. And let me just say, you know, my name is Nelly Vasquez Rowland. I'm from Chicago, and we're doing something really special in Chicago in regards to really creating what's a phased housing program that includes everything from transitional housing, supportive housing, affordable housing, and senior housing. So today we have about 40 developments throughout the Chicagoland area that takes people that were formerly homeless. We connect the dots in terms of getting them the right services, job training, as well as permanent housing. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. We'll talk about it more, but you can go to our website, asafehaven.org, to start learning a little bit more while we speak. So thank you.
Greg, just a little open of what is the United States Green Building Council, and what are you guys doing? A little nutshell.
Well, anybody who works in real estate is familiar with LEED certified buildings. The brand LEED is the biggest brand in the world of sustainability. It's oftentimes used as a proxy for green, even incorrectly. More people heard of LEED than the USGBC, which is the organization which created the LEED Green Building Rating System. LEED, of course, is the preeminent green building rating system with LEED certified buildings in 145 countries, over 4 billion square feet of certified space, over 1.5 million square feet of certified space certified per day. USGBC is in DC, but I'm a member of the USGBC South Florida chapter here in Miami, and I'm in charge of education. So I'm an educator. I'm also in advocacy as well, which is a perfect segue to our next speaker.
And that, with that, our advocate, just give us a little rundown of what you do and how you do it.
I would like to say that I prefer to help other people advocate. But I will say that, so I was brought out here because I work with a firm called Brevitas, but initially I started my career in public affairs in San Francisco. I spent the better part of a decade working for the largest independent public affairs firm in the city. And we really, I hold true to the politics is very, can be morally gray. And it's a very serious focus of ours at the time to not go into that gray area and stay black and white. And so with the advocacy work that I did, worked with a lot of organizations maintaining a focus on keeping it holistic.
Great. So now our mayor, honorable mayor, someone that I've really admired because he took a city like North Miami Beach, which people wrote off, and right now it's one of the most vibrant, one of the most amazing, really communities. And it's right in the middle. If people don't know, Aventura, then you got North Miami Beach, and you got obviously Sunny Isles and whatnot. So tell us a little bit about you and what your take is on real estate. I know he has a little added value. He's a real estate broker also. So
Well, thank you, Avelio, and thank you everyone for being here. It's really a pleasure to be here with you and fellow panelists on this. I'm hoping to bring a little bit of an interesting perspective to the topic in the sense that I kind of occupy both spaces in that I'm an elected official. I'm also a real estate broker, so I kind of see it from both sides. You know, I think what I was elected for a little over 4 years ago. I just got reelected to my second term. It was nice to be able to go through it unopposed. So
I didn't have to work.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a plus. But you know what we've been working on really hard in our city is we took a city that really had been frozen in time, in a lot of respects, with respect to development, respect to growth, you know, housing choices that had been kind of frozen in time for over 30 years. And by smart governance, smart rezoning, we've really changed the dynamic. We've changed the conversation, and we've turned the sleepy town into one of the hottest growth places or hot markets for real estate and redevelopment in the county. And it's really nothing short of the renaissance of a city that is blessed with a beautiful location, but was just certain things that weren't being done before properly. Now they are, and how quickly you can transform a community. So.
Absolutely. And with that, people asked, is there a room for poverty? Is there room for other questions, for example, transportation? Is there room for, in the dialogue? Well, the way I look at it is we got to bring everybody up. I just can't understand. I was fortunate enough to found the Miami Brickell Chamber of Commerce, but everything here in Miami is not the glitter, it's not the glitz. There is a lot of need, but not only here, worldwide, obviously, but places like Chicago, that formula that you've been with your family and your staff developing for 20 some odd years, which we want to export it worldwide. Tell us a little bit about that yin and yang, because you do work with the public-private. How do you grab someone from the streets that has no hope, that really doesn't understand, lost his way for whatever reason? We're not going in here to judge. How do you grab that person, bring them into your system, and you make them not only survive but thrive? Tell us how you also work with the cities, the counties, the state and federal.
Okay, well, my husband and I started a safe haven over 21 years ago, and our background actually was in investment banking. Believe it or not, we were in the field for about 13 years. And when we started to do research on the topic of poverty and why is there poverty and why aren't people that get in the caught up in the system, why aren't they getting out, we realized that it really was a systems issue. And with all the good intentions that so many of our programs were set up in terms of feeding the homeless, in terms of providing a voucher for housing or job training, we realized that without a comprehensive strategy around all of that, that helps someone who's in crisis walk in the door and have, a one-stop shop where they can get all of their issues addressed, whether it's drug and alcohol addiction, whether it's educational issues, whether it's, being sick or, lack of employment skills. At A Safe Haven, what we do is we actually assess everyone that comes in. We identify what the root causes are as far as why they're in crisis, and we go to work in terms of connecting them with the right services. So that ultimately the end in mind is to get them a job and get them into permanent housing. We don't do it by ourselves. We have a lot of partners in the community. We are a public-private partnership. We are funded by the city, by the state, by the county, by the federal government. Although they're siloed, at A Safe Haven, they're streamlined and it's comprehensive, so that when someone's in crisis, they're not worried about where they need to run to today to go get this or that. It's actually being done for them and with them in terms of helping them connect all the right services at the right time, so that ultimately when they do get a job, it's going to be sustained, and when they do move out, it's going to be affordable for them to move into an apartment that they can literally support themselves and their family. The private sector comes in from the point of view you that, you know, there's a lot of philanthropy in the corporate world, right? And individuals that want to give back and make a difference. And they can and they do with A Safe Haven, except for when they're giving to A Safe Haven to feed the hungry. That's part of a comprehensive piece that we are delivering for someone that's in our program. It's not just a one-off where they're getting a sandwich, they're actually getting 3 healthy meals a day. So there's a lot of different components to it, but at the end of the day, it's all about how do we not put a Band-Aid on it? How do we solve it?
Absolutely, and it's important to understand that people need places to live, work, and play, and for that reason, we want to include Greg because it's a different perspective of sustainability. How do you keep that whole thing together?
Well, you know, I sense you struggling for terminology to describe it, and I'm going to
course.
help everybody with that. A couple of things. The U.S. Green Building Council is, among the USGBC's goals is market transformation. Since 20 years ago when the USGBC was created. And so as a result, the market has transformed. From building materials to the leasing and selling space. You open a major a office building in a major metro today, if it's not LEED certified by the time it opens, it's obsolete. There's an expectation today from major tenants, they want to be in LEED certified space. This was part of the talk I did yesterday. We had the Environmental Sustainability Director for EY, Ernst & Young, in charge of 200,000 employees and 190 offices in the Americas. She said they're in 53% of their people are in LEED certified space. There's a huge requirement. Now, I think that a great way to describe or to put a name on a concept I think you seem to be struggling for, and this is great because a lot of people don't know about this. This is a mandate that is driven by environmental, corporate sustainability, and LEED as well, the USGBC. I'm talking about something called the triple bottom line. The triple bottom line is a foundation on which many decisions are made in government today and in corporate world around 3 things: financial performance, necessary; social performance, necessary; and environmental performance, that's also necessary. We need to balance all 3. And so triple bottom line initiatives, LEED and green building work into triple bottom line initiatives to take care of society, help the bottom line, and also take care of the environment.
That's great. That 3 piece is amazing, and I love it because it plays very well. Jesse, a little question. So how does a client, so we have clients out here and they have a need to come in front of the city, the commission, whoever that may, how do you address and how do you really, what I do, the IQQV, how do you identify, quantify, and verify a way of working with that city? Because you have to, the mayor, all he is really the voice of the people. That's what they put him there. So how do you balance that? What's your mindset when you go and ask the mayor and the council, hey, look, we want to build, I don't want to build a 10-story, the numbers don't make, the financial, but then how do you balance that with the social fabric of that community, and is it the right place and whatnot? What's your mindset? And let's think that everybody out here in the audience is a developer that you're going to represent in front of the commission.
So the thing to really focus on and remember is it is not the 1980s in Chicago anymore. There aren't smoky backroom deals where deals get cut. There are some bad actors out there, but legitimately, to get a project approved, you need the community on your side. And in order to do that, you have to build community benefits packages, you have to know the organizations, and you have to work with them. I've always found that holistic community outreach is the ultimate priority for developers when getting projects done. It can cut project timelines from 3 years to 6 months. If you do it proactively and if you go out there and begin those conversations early and work with those groups, they'll come out and they'll support you properly to get your project done. What I think is also of paramount importance is finding the right project sites and developing appropriately there. So you don't, if there's a community that doesn't want high-rise buildings built in that neighborhood or to shadow a park, don't begin the project at that site. Find somewhere else to work.
Right. Amazing. And I think that that segue goes into you. I mean, we've had in Miami, I don't want to name names, but a major retailer goes into a community and it doesn't fit that profile of that community. And as Jesse said, they'll fight them for 3 or 4 years. Obviously, that major retailer has a lot of money to fight it, and sooner or later they do have public-private rights and everything else, but they're not really liked as, instead of welcomed, there's that adverse. So how do you deal with that yin and yang balance of dealing with the people that want to come to invest. I know you're very open and you sit with everybody, you're open door. I know that. I've sent people over there and they told me the mayor just opened the door. So how do you balance your two phases, economic development, business, and also the residents?
Well, you know, the approach that I've always taken is, like, as you said, is very much an open door policy. I'll talk to anybody, listen to anybody from the community, anybody from the development community, what it is they want to bring in, and I always maintain an open mind. And that's one of the things I think is very important for pretty much everybody is, and unfortunately, a lot of people kind of go into things, they'll take a meeting and they've got a preconceived notion, you know, oh, this guy's what these people want this and I'm not going for that and whatever. You got to be able to listen to all the sides and really be able to get to it. But one of the things that the approach that we've taken is that we recognized with a city that has a lot of infrastructure and a lot of buildings that were you know, from 1950s, you're not going to be able to redevelop that unless you provide and you change what is the highest and best use of these properties. So when we had, you know, no one is going to convert a single-story small retail that's functionally obsolete today into something else if all they can do is put another single-story, same thing. They're not going to bother to do it. There's no financial return. So what we had figured out is we identified the zones in the city where we could absorb the density and that were prime and ripe for that kind of transformation into those mixed-use corridors, and we created the zoning to encourage that kind of redevelopment. And so what we've done is we took a lot of the political battle at once, so that rather than it be, you know, somebody coming in with this project or that project or this project and having the same fight over and over again, we had a community conversation. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to respect the single-family neighborhoods, but we're going to provide modern choice in housing and businesses. And it went over very well. The entire plan, which was quite aggressive in some respects, passed unanimously 7-0 in the city council. So very proud of that. And what it's done is it's given the people in the investment community and the real estate community something that everybody wants, right? Which is, one of the things you want is some clarity. Right? Before you invest money, you want to know, can I invest? Can I get my returns? Well, we're pretty transparent about it. Here's what you can do. Stay within these lines. We've given you plenty of latitude, and more power to you. Go and develop, make money, and help the community at the same time.
So that word comprehensive makes sense. I like that you get the pain one time and then you get the benefit after that. It's like birthing this event. I mean, women here, I respect you more and more today than, you know, ever, because it's just like having a baby, putting this together and having great people, you know, the value of education. When we started the Miami Real Estate Symposium, it was real estate, but it was more education. Because again, I say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. So with that, we're winding down because we're live right from Miami. Nelly, give us a look at the future. I like the future. We're here present. We've done that for many years. But where do you see the needs? A little bit of challenges, but really, where do you see a safe haven and that model you've developed going towards the future, and in what communities are you looking about?
Well, I just want to mention, just to give give people a little bit of perspective. Last year, in 2014, we had about 5,500 people that came through our program. The average length of stay was about 90 days. Of those 5,500, about 1,300 of them were military veterans, and 910 of them were children, you know, so families. With the work that we did last year and moving people from homelessness to jobs, they generated about $22 million in income last year. So we literally are taking people from being poverty-stricken to becoming positive, productive members of society, paying taxes, supporting themselves. No longer a burden to the system. The costs are incalculable in terms of the cost savings. So every city right now is struggling with the issue of homelessness. We have a model that's scalable, that's repeatable, that's got tons of traction and lots of performance metrics to show that we can literally transform lives, whether they were homeless for a day or for decades, and move them to their highest level of self-sufficiency and independence. So my vision, and the reason why we are doing a safe haven, why we left our careers to embark on this mission, is really about helping our nation really rethink the delivery system that we have set up for poverty issues. And hopefully, with your help and the support of the community, we will see a safe haven in every city that needs it and wants it. It will take political will, and it will take the business community being partners, in this agenda. So my vision is, I think that any city that needs it will take us on our challenge and saying, invite us in, let's work together, let's make a comprehensive plan around this. And I don't believe that anyone should be homeless in America, not even for a minute. And the poverty numbers just came out this week that showed that we actually have about 47 million people living in poverty right now. And it didn't move an inch, from last year or the year before. So whatever we're doing right now, I think we need to think about what we can be doing better so those numbers start to really go down in the future. So thank you. That's it.
Amazing. So the numbers are there, the market is there. It's just meeting the needs, and your formula is amazing. Greg, real quick, get away from the council now. Just talk to me about now, what's happening. What do you see as far as this global warming, but really the sustainability of how do you build all these beautiful buildings, but then people can't really drive? Right now, one of the things that I've said, Brickell's gorgeous. I was here, I was blessed to start the Miami Brickell Chamber of Commerce 7 years ago. But I'll tell you, I'm getting a lot of blowback because people cannot get out of their buildings anymore. And this is not, it's beautiful, but it's not Manhattan. Manhattan moves millions of people every day. That's what they were built for. We are landlocked in the sense of all senses, but if we don't do something, and that's why things like Uber, things like Cars to Go, things like City Bike, all these different alternatives, commuting, but really two strong answers that I know you're going to give them already. So go ahead.
Carrying member of Partigo.
There we go. So real quick, because we're almost about time. Tell us a little bit about how do you manage that sustainability issue?
Transportation in this city is a huge issue. In fact, just 2 days ago, on WLRN, our local NPR station, we had the mayor of the county, Jimenez, Mayor Regalado of City of Miami, and Philip Levine of Miami Beach talking about this very topic. There's a lot of push and pull. I'm gonna go up about 10,000 feet and just say that where you build matters more than how you build. Building green is fine, but if you build a green building out in the middle of nowhere and you have to now offload, you've lost the energy benefit of that building. If now you've externalized the energy cost onto all these people who have to drive to and from the building and bring infrastructure out in the middle of nowhere and deliveries and everything. So where you build matters more than how you build. That said, we still have a transportation headache to deal with. Again, going up maybe 10,000 more feet, I heard the mayor say, we want development, we want a profit, we want businesses to make money. But I think what we need to do is balance risk. That's something we don't hear people talk about enough. You want sustainability? Any organization, whether it is my broken Canon camera, doesn't matter. Any organization, whether it's a municipality or a profit-making entity, for them to be sustainable, what is sustainability if not the ability to remain in business? And to remain in business, you need to make money, save money, and manage risk in an increasingly resource-constrained environment.
Great.
We need to look at that stuff.
Good.
The big picture, like you said, all angles.
Good. Jesse, just your take, a closing of your part of this, and from just a future perspective, basically, with your experience.
I think that it's actually reflected in the panelists who are with me today. Smart civic growth is, or smart civic planning is essential, and it's reflected in them because planning commissions and who put together zoning and the ordinances, they really build the future. I'm here from San Francisco. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a major affordability crisis in the city and a major housing crisis. This is caused partially because 10 years ago, they weren't planning for today. I don't think there's many other places in the country where you hear people say, I got a great deal. I just moved into a one bedroom. It's $3,500 a month. That's a real conversation that's taking place in San Francisco. And without smart planning and local governance doing their job to make sure that we're ready for the future and that we're zoning correctly, that's where we'll be. Organizations that do great public work that help us solve these issues are of fundamental importance. And of course, we have to be focused on the environment. In San Francisco, you can't even get a project off the ground without it being LEED certified. And the LEED Gold or Platinum is an expectation for any major project. And like you were saying, car sharing in San Francisco is huge. Zipcar, City Car Share, they're all there.
They were born there. Uber and Lyft were both born in San Francisco.
I'd like to say I had something to do with that, but I didn't.
Well, following that trend, as we wind down here, what do you see? Where do you see the whole picture? You know, it's interesting because I believe we live in a 7-year cycle. It used to be 9, but now, if you remember 2008, which is died, and you go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. Then I believe that someone's going to get elected new 2017, and people say, well, it's another 4 years. No, it's 5 years because they want to get reelected. So if you look at it, we're in the best time of our time now. Things like Cuba will open up in this hemisphere. A lot of things are happening. The Pope will be, the 19th will be there, and then he's coming here. So things are happening, opportunities. Yesterday we did the Cuba question. We talked about the deficiency in housing over there. Well, there's nothing. You got to do it brand new. So opportunities, and that's going to impact this whole region. So when we look at opportunities, we see the time is now, the next 7 years, especially you young folks out there, this is when we have to act, because we're going to, if we don't miss this boat, as far as even planning for the future, for affordable housing, for transportation issues. But it all starts, I believe, yes, the community, but the leaders in the community are the ones that are supposed to take that battle to everybody else. So again, where do you see yourself in the future as far as, and your model working in different communities like Nelly, for example?
Well, you know, the thing about working in other communities, you know, I bring maybe a little bit different perspective into it, in that being somebody that's been in the small business sector, and, you know, so I have been on the receiving end of the pain of government rules and, you know, different things and maybe arbitrary decisions. So I try to bring that perspective to the decision-making process. And so I always follow a couple of simple rules, and I say, like, that my saying is that we want to make a community, what my people want is they want a city that's clean, safe, and beautiful, with good educational options. You know, that's important for families buying real estate, everybody that's in this room. And I think that it's our job as the, you know, government, is to set simple, fair rules that apply to everyone equally across the board. But once we've done that, then it's imperative on us to get the hell out of the way and let the private sector, let the creative individuals, let the people create. You know, you mentioned Lyft, Uber, you know, all these different disrupting, you know, let the market work. Let people unleash their energy, their creativity to solve these problems. And that's, you know, I think is a big thing. And, you know, you mentioned something about California. So California, you know, they're suffering from a big water, you know, issue and water shortage over there and stuff like that. And I remember reading a great line, and it said that nature creates droughts, but government creates the shortage. and it's actually true, because there's a lot of issues, a lot of rules that are just ridiculous rules that are in place that actually are counterproductive to solving, for example, the drought situation in California. And I think a lot of that is stuff that hamstrings us, you know. And so what I would like to see is more people working in that direction of saying, hey, I'm sorry I don't want to cut into your work as the, you know, the lobbyist and the advocate, you know, advocacy, but if we can start to make our rules simpler, fairer, apply to people across the board equally, you get a lot less need for all the haggling. It just makes things easier, and it makes it more productive.
Oh, transparency. Their work also, there's a reason for them to be there. That's for their expertise. But also you, as part of the Florida League of Cities, which I served on the board many years ago when I had hair, you know, you could expound that from, that's why it's so important, your bully pulpit from there, to do that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Nelly, I think we're about to wind up. So again, what you do for us is so important, because they say, well, forget about that person that's on the street, forget about that person who's not producing. But as you stated, if we don't all come together and do something that makes sense for all of us, we're all in the same boat here, guys. So with that said, what recommendations do you give our audience and really everybody worldwide? What can they do themselves. I mean, the other day, for example, you had a 5K run. I saw you do. But how do they get involved, and how do you engage everybody else and really tell them, look, hey, we're doing this. You can be part, and everybody benefits because you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the rest of everybody. And when you give, you receive. So the last round, real quick, is how do you engage?
Well, that's a great question because most people care, and they just don't know what to do anymore. You know, there's all this money that's going into the system. We pay taxes for things, you know, to solve these problems. There's philanthropy. You know, we try to give a sandwich to people. We try to do things, volunteer, and it doesn't seem to be making a difference. And so for me, I have to advocate for the work that we're doing. Is really about galvanizing all these different stakeholders and really unifying them and aligning them and leveraging our talents, our resources in a way that's at the end of the day going to help link us and come together to deliver a solution. You know, so I just told you right now, we've dedicated ourselves for 21 years to do this, right? We have, you know, an incredible model. Every city needs to have this model that's proven. Now, it's not for everybody. You know, our model doesn't solve homelessness for everybody, but for the vast majority of those 5,500 people that came through our program, they do succeed. And for those that don't, they can try again another time, you know, because they may give up. But I think you need to think about going to our website, you know, advocating for a better approach and a better system, and show our model to your leadership and say, here's something that's working. What can we do about bringing this model to our city and our neighborhood so that we can have a way to connect the dots with the services, with the funding, and with employment opportunities and housing opportunities for people that are really a burden to our system if we don't do it.
Well, as you know, ladies run the show, so she's going to finish that show. So, ladies, gentlemen, thank you for this. We're going to
Thank you.
We're going to follow the talk.
Evelio.
We got our hashtag MRES, so MRES 2015. Let's follow the conversation there. And for more information, www.miamirealestatesymposium.com. So we'll be posting all this, and obviously it's live now, but we'll be posting because let me tell you, I've been to many conferences. I mean, my addiction is going to learn and grow, because if you don't grow, you stagnate. So this panel, and not because of me, but because of the quality over here, we really touched so many important things that this is a formula to making that whole community wholesome. So thank you for your time. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to the World Wide Web. And Miami Real Estate Symposium 2015, this is a wrap. Gracias.